What's up? This your boy Big Man. You already know what it is, man. So let's get right to it. Okay, so today we're gonna be talking about the artist Cutty Banks, or the artist formerly known as Cutty Banks, because man, Cutty Banks is a West Coast rapper who lost his life back in December. Now, this was around the time that a lot of rappers were losing their life, unfortunately, man. Cutty Banks ended up being one of the casualties of his situation up in the Bay Area. Now, the San Mateo rapper he grew to be known from a couple of joints that he dropped, but one of his biggest songs was a collaboration that he did with a couple of other rappers called Set Trippin'. Now, crazy enough, Cutty Banks is obviously about what he's about, but it seemed like he was, branching out and working on different business ventures or whatnot. Even when he ended up getting shot or whatnot, it was at a bank, man. He was at the bank and some dude walked in. Witnesses say he had on a black hoodie, and people were just, they were baffled at the time. They didn't understand why this took place and how it took place in one of the most expensive places in America. It was just a crazy situation. But it seems like, man, more details have come out, and the police have been on the search and have really been on the heels of the person they believe is responsible for the shooting. I mean, they've been tracking him down. They tracked down the vehicle. But before we get into all the specifics, because this is a really interesting story, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And man, let's get it. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about this Cutty Banks situation, man. Now, ever since Cutty Banks lost his life back in December, man, it's been a manhunt. They haven't stopped. They've been looking hard, actually, man. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, it was a really brazen shooting in in a very nice neighborhood. It just wasn't going to slide like that. I mean, not like they let murder slide anyway, but I mean, they were really, really focused on finding who was responsible for this. And this is what they came up with, man. So in order for us to get an idea of what went down, man, we got to slide out to a place called Blanchard, Oklahoma. Now, this is from a news story about the situation and the capture of the alleged killer. Now, the headline says, suspect in targeted killing of rap artist in San Mateo arrested in Oklahoma. So, in Blanchard, Oklahoma, a man suspected in the targeted shooting death of Bay Area rap artist outside a bank in San Mateo in December was arrested in Oklahoma following what police called a round-the-clock investigation. Like I said, they wasn't stopping, man. They were looking for this dude nonstop. And when we get through the story, you'll start to understand, like, man, they traced the car in Southern California. They did a lot, man. Now, it continues to say, San Mateo police detectives arrested Isaiah Rupina, 34, at his home in Blanchard Thursday morning without incident. He was taken to a local jail where he now awaits extradition to San Mateo County. Now, let's stop right there. So you're telling me this dude came all the way to California to pull off a hit and then slid back to Oklahoma? Like, what kind of beef did Cutty Banks have? This is crazy. Okay, man, so let's continue. Now, the story continues to say, on December 19th at about 09:25 a.m., officers responding to a report of a shooting arrived at a Wells Fargo bank branch at 81 West Hillsdale Boulevard to find an unresponsive man who was pronounced dead on the scene. He was identified as 30-year-old Mulatto Lamafa Lassie Jr. So Mulatto Lamafi Lassie Jr. is obviously Cutty Banks, San Jose rap artist who performed under the name Cutty Banks. Witness told police a gunman wearing a black hoodie shot at the man at least 5 times before fleeing on foot. At the time, police said the shooting was targeted in an isolated incident, not involving the bank. But it took, I'm going to stop there too, but it took place in a bank, so that's going to already send off all sorts of alarms and red flags like, okay, this dude's so wild that he ran up in the bank and shot somebody. Like, for a fact that there are cameras in a bank. There's cameras at the teller at the bank. There's cameras in the parking lot at the bank. But to walk inside the bank and to shoot somebody, that is crazy, man. I mean, I ain't saying dude is crazy, so I can't make that medical determination. But man, that is wild, man, to say the least. You know what I mean? Now, the story continues to say, within a few days of the homicide, detectives located a white Mercedes abandoned in Southern California Linked to the shooting, police said security camera footage showed the Mercedes driver matched descriptions of the gunman provided by witnesses. So I guess they seen the white Mercedes. They must have seen him getting out or had pictures of him getting out with the black hoodie on, and then they matched that up with what the witnesses said. You know what I mean? Okay, and then it says other investigative leads led detectives to identify Rupina as the suspect. At about 6 a.m., multiple law enforcement agencies served an arrest warrant at Rupina's home where he was arrested. And you can see a picture of him right here. That's him. Judging by the tattoos and stuff and the name, you would think, I don't know. It sounds Filipino, man. He sounds Filipino. I don't know. Rupina, he could be Latin too, man. He could be Hispanic or whatnot. You know what I mean? Now, San Mateo police said detectives worked with investigators throughout San Mateo County, Southern California, and Oklahoma District 21 Task Force to find and arrest Rupina. Now, no motive was disclosed in the killing. Anyone with additional information about the case was encouraged to contact blah, blah, blah. It's like their Crime Stoppers unit or whatever. But, man, this is a crazy situation, man. So, dude used a high luxury vehicle? Like, what kind of, like, none of this makes sense. You know what I mean? I do a lot of these stories. It's usually some kind of crazy dump car or a car that somebody stole or something like that. Because, I mean, think about it from this aspect. A white Mercedes SUV, people are going to remember that car. Come on, man. They're going to remember that car 2 weeks later after they see it. You know what I mean? Most of these shootings and stuff like that, especially when it's hood related and stuff like that, it's usually a stolen car and it's usually a beater. Like, it looks horrible. You know, it's a horrible car. You know what I mean? So for dude to have a white Mercedes, lead a white Mercedes, slide back to Oklahoma, it all sounds so coordinated and odd at the same time because it doesn't sound like there is any kind of precautions not to get caught. You know what I mean? So it lets you know that, man, it was some type of get back or some kind of crazy situation that we will probably never know the details of because none of this makes sense. I'm just going to keep it funky, man. None of this makes sense. It's pretty wild to say the least, man. And when you look at dude's picture, he looks a little wild. Now, he's allegedly the person who performed who carried out this heinous act. But, man, I don't know. That doesn't mean that he did it. So, you know, I always say that, man. You're innocent until proven guilty. And, you know, with this story, it's just another, man, tragic situation in hip-hop, to be honest. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that this dude, you know, slid on Cutty Banks, then went back to Oklahoma and did all that, man, ditched a SUV, a luxury SUV, white Mercedes SUV, they said, and all that? I mean, it sounds like, I mean, all of this, it seems like they were really up on their game with the investigation. So I don't know what else to say, man, to be honest. Now, with that, this being your boy, well, leave in the comments below. I'd like to hear what you guys are thinking or what you know about the situation. And check out the last video I did about the situation when Cutty Banks, you know, when it happened, man, when it was breaking news or whatnot. Now, with that, this been your boy, Big Man. Make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you get a notification every time I drop this hot content. And we out of here. Peace.